Hello nursery, it's Mrs Armstrong here. I haven't seen you for a little while, have I? But I thought today I'd like to read you this week's story of the week. And because this week we're learning about planting and growing in our garden, our story is called Eddie's Garden and How to Make Things Grow. The author is Sarah Garland, and here's the book. Okay, it's quite a long story, so make sure you're sitting comfortably as I read it to you. Here it is again, a picture of Eddie. And the title, Eddie's Garden and How to Make Things Grow. There's Eddie and his mum. Can I have a garden of my own? Said Eddie. Okay, said Mum. And me, said Lily. Mum wrote a list. And they went to the garden shop. So here they are. Here's Eddie running and Lily's sitting in her buggy. They bought some seeds and a bag of earth and some flower pots. Pots for me, said Lily. Look, they've got home and they're having their lunch. What makes plants grow? Asked Eddie. What makes you grow? Asked Mum. Food, said Eddie. Drink for me, said Lily. That's just what plants like too, said Mum. They need food from the earth. They need the rain to drink. They need the air to breathe and sun for light and warmth. Let's get digging, said Eddie. It was hard work digging up the grass and the weeds, but the earth was rich and crumbly and full of worms. Oh, what's Lily doing? What's Lily doing down here? Oh, stop that, cried Mum. Worms are good for the earth, but they are not good to eat. Worms for me, said Lily. Eddie raked the earth smooth, ready for the pea seeds. Mum showed Eddie how to scratch a line in the earth using a twig. Maybe some of you have done these things in your garden, helping your grown-ups. And Mum showed him how to put the pea seeds in along the line, one at a time. I don't know if you can see, but he's putting the seeds really, really carefully in a straight line. And then carefully they covered them up with the soil. Oh wow, this looks exciting. They collected some long sticks and Mum pushed them into the ground. This can be a hideout for you and Lily, she said. Bean plants will grow right up the sticks to make you a bean den. She dug a hole beside each stick and Eddie dropped a bean into every hole and then filled each hole with the earth. One of your activities this week was to make a den. I don't know whether you can make it with beanstalks though, but maybe you could make it with some chairs and some blankets. Eddie watered all the seeds with his watering can. Look at Lily, she's lying down. Water me, she said. No, don't, said Mum. Look, she's quickly picking her up so that the watering can that Eddie's using doesn't get her wet. When Eddie went to bed that night, Mum read him the story of Jack and the beanstalk. Eddie thought about his bean plants growing up into the sky and how he would be like Jack and climb up the beanstalk higher and higher until he could touch the clouds. The next morning, Eddie wanted to sow some more seeds. "Let's put some of them in some pots," said Mum. "Then we can look after them more easily." So they collected flower pots and seed trays and yoghurt pots, an oil can, an old boot, and they filled them all with earth from the bag. Eddie watered the earth until it was soaking wet. Then they chose their seeds: sunflowers, marigolds, nasturtiums, broccoli, purple chard and sweet corn, and a pumpkin seed for Lily. They put in their seeds carefully and they covered them up with soil. "Pumpkin for me," said Lily, and she dug up her pumpkin seed to see whether it had grown. Do you think it will have grown? She's only just put it in. "Put it back, Lily. It doesn't grow that fast," said Eddie. Days passed. The rain rained, the sun shone warm, and every day Eddie and Lily looked to see whether their seeds had sprouted. At last a strong green stem pushed out of the earth. Can you see it here? It was Lily's pumpkin. It straightened up and opened 2 fat leaves. "Like me," said Lily. Soon all the seeds were sprouting. There's some lettuce, sunflowers there in the oil can, some peas, some sweet corn, some carrots, some broccoli, nasturtiums, chilies and marigolds. Perhaps you can plant some seeds in your garden and see whether they start to grow for you. Eddie worked hard in his garden. He watered the plants when they were dry. He pulled up the weeds. When Lily's pumpkin plant grew too big for its pot, he showed her how to dig a hole in the garden to plant it in, so its roots could go down deep into the ground. "Hey, Lily, maybe that hole is a bit big." "Too big," said Eddie. Can you see? She's digging a hole in the ground and it's massive. Look, it's big enough for her to go in. Then he dug a hole for his sunflower plant, right in the middle of the garden. As the weeks went by, it grew as high as Eddie. Then even higher than Eddie and higher still until a fat bud grew at the top. Look at it here. Can you see? Eddie's here. Look how tall it is. It's probably taller than me. Which opened up. The top opened up into an enormous yellow sunflower. If we'd have been at school, we'd have been growing some sunflowers and seeing how tall they could grow. Grandad came round. He was so surprised. He had to sit down. "Wow, Eddie, your garden is amazing," he said. "Wow, I think it's amazing too." And can you see Lily here? She's sitting in the bean den. The beans have grown around the sticks and now she has a bean den. They walked around the garden together. "Do you know what?" Grandad said, Eddie. "Some caterpillars eat lettuces, but the birds eat the caterpillars. And some bugs eat leaves and flowers, but the ladybirds and hoverflies eat the bugs. And bees make honey from flowers, and we like eating honey." "Worms for me," said Lily. "Well, Worms mix the earth up and that's good for the plants, said Grandad. So all of these animals and mini beasts, they have jobs to do in our garden. Eddie found a slug. Oh dear, said Grandad. Slugs eat up plants in the garden, especially at night. Uh-oh, said Eddie. Oh no, I don't think he wanted any slugs in his beautiful garden, did he? That night, Eddie couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the slugs, munching and crunching on his garden. He went downstairs in his pyjamas. What's up, Eddie? Called Mum. I'm going on a slug hunt, said Eddie. Oh, wait for me, said Mum. And by torchlight and moonlight, they soon found 16 slugs. That's 10 and 6 more. 16 slugs that were eating up Eddie's plants. They put them in a bucket for Mum to throw away and went back upstairs. That was a brilliant idea, Eddie, said Mum, as she kissed him good night. Here they are, look, in the garden, finding slugs. The next day, it was fine and sunny, perfect for a picnic. Eddie, Lily and Mum went into the garden and they picked peas and carrots and lettuces and sweet corn and a big pumpkin. Mum cut the pumpkin up. Do you remember we cut up a pumpkin, didn't we, and made pumpkin soup? We'll cut some of these seeds to grow next year, she said. Eddie rolled out the pastry for a pumpkin pie. Peas for me, said Lily. She sat on the floor here, munching peas. Out in Eddie's garden, birds ate sunflower seeds. Bees and butterflies drank nectar from the flowers, and the creepy crawlies were busy in the garden. Eddie, Lily, Mum and Grandad ate their picnic. It was just the best ever. Must have made them feel really proud to be eating the food that they'd grown, mustn't it? After the picnic, Eddie and Lily sat in their bean den. Which do you like best, Lily? Worms or beans? Asked Eddie. Oh, beans for me, said Lily. Thank goodness. That's the end of our story. Eddie's garden and how to make things grow. I hope you enjoyed our story this week, and I hope you enjoy planting any seeds at all that you have at home. Okay, I'll speak to you soon. Bye, nursery.